And she has been such a blessing to me, as well as so many women and men in our church. She's just really touched us. So she is a soon-to-be graduate of Teen Challenge, and God is doing so many exciting things in her life that she wants to share with us today. So please welcome Jessica Ontiveros.
Okay, so the Lord just kind of put on my heart to talk about my experience at Teen Challenge and into the now. So, my whole program, well, first of all, I should probably say how I got there. So I was supposed to be doing 11 years in prison, and somehow it was only God. He opened the door for me to go to Teen Challenge. I tried to get into about 12 programs, and Teen Challenge was the only door that opened. I went to Teen Challenge in San Jose when I was about 18, but I left after 4 days. And I kept meeting pastors and different people that were in churches, and they're like, God's calling you back to a program. You need a program. But I was like, no, I don't, because I didn't want to go back. And so, anyways, he made a way for me to go back. So, I wanted my children back. I had lost my children. My marriage just fell apart, and the Lord just told me there's only one way that I can restore all that, and that's if you're obedient and you go to this program that I am opening the door to. And so I said, okay. I really had no choice at that time, but at the same time, I knew I had a peace. I knew it was time. And so one scripture the Lord gave me through my whole program, because I watched everybody. I went through a season of jealousy, anger, bitterness, because I watched everybody get their children restored to them. I watched everybody's marriages be restored, and none of that happened for me. And so I was just very angry, and it was hard, and I was thankful because the Lord blessed me with other children around me, but they weren't my own, so it was very hard. And so he just reminded me of the story of Joseph and how he empowered him to walk through what he walked through. Though it wasn't fair, though it wasn't right what happened, God empowered him to walk through that. God could have got him out of that like that, but he didn't. But he empowered him and gave him that strength to walk through. And so I started really looking at that, and I was like, okay. And then he gave me the story of Hannah, what she went through year after year, just that torment. And that's basically what was happening to me. There was some people in the program that were kind of like, they knew, we have this thing called holding people accountable. So if they were doing something that wasn't right, we held them accountable. And so they were angry at me, and so they saw that that was a deep desire that I really was praying for my children. And they would taunt me in some type of way. And I was very angry, and I wanted to revert back to my old ways, being physically violent. And I just had all these thoughts, and I was like, okay, but if I do that, there's consequences. And these are consequences that are very severe. And if I want my children, I can't do that because I won't see them for a long time. And so I really took it serious, that second chance. Well, actually, it was probably like a fifth, eighth, whatever chance that God gave me. And so I was just very thankful. And even when I wasn't, I chose to be thankful because I could have been somewhere else. And I know if I went to prison, that was the whole lifestyle I lived in. I wouldn't have changed. God had to pull me out of that and take me somewhere different for me to adapt to that. And so, I really saw in the story of Hannah how she ran to the Lord and she prayed and she asked God to help her. And one thing that really stuck out to me is when she walked away, she didn't have that bitter soul anymore. She was at peace, and she was, she didn't get angry with God either. She still went to him and asked for his help. And that's one thing that really spoke to me is because I got angry a lot with God. Like, I didn't understand. I thought when you come to God, everything just falls into place. And I learned real quick that's not how it happened. And so God didn't pull her out of her situation either. He had her go right back. into what she was surrounded by, and it just really spoke to me, and he just gave me the word walking through. And I was like, what does that even mean? And so I really decided to seek him. What does it mean to walk through? And then he took me back to Teen Challenge and everything I walked through. And I have to look at that because I walked through some healing. I walked through learning, disciplines, whatever it was. But it built me into a stronger woman than I was then when I walked in. And so it was hard. It was very hard. But God showed me the walking through isn't going to be easy. And so he gave me Isaiah 43, 2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be scorched, nor will the flame burn you. And then he told me walking through is what I've called you to do. So, and I'm in a season right now where I'm walking through things, different layers of healing. I went through different types of abuse, sexual being one. And there's people that come into my work that look a lot like my past abusers. And so it's really hard. It's really hard on me. And so, but what he showed me is there's still some unforgiveness there. There's another layer that I need to be healed of. I did in Teen Challenge, they have the CTF unit that's different types of abuse, like physical, mental, emotional, sexual abuse. And I went through that and I thought that was the end. And so it's like reoccurring and I'm like, oh man, like I really don't, like I get upset again because I'm like, I don't want to face that. I thought I was done with that. And so I have to really look at it. This is something I have to walk through. And if I want to get to that complete healing, let go of all this, I have to walk through it. And so, but what he showed me in that verse is even though I feel like I'm drowning right now, I feel like, I'm being burnt, that I'm not. And I just really have to stand on his promises and his word right now because I do feel forsaken right now in the middle of this. I feel alone. I feel distant from him. And then I'm like last night, I kept trying to go to sleep. I should have been in his presence, praising him, reading my word, but I wasn't. I was trying to avoid it by going to sleep. And so that's what happened, and a lot of people like to act like they have it all together. Well, I'm not one of those. I'm going to be real honest. My prayer life, I need to be more intimate with. I need to be more like Hannah, running to him with my bitter heart and my soul that's just wounded. And so, now I'm going to be going to court for my daughter on Monday. That's something else I have to walk through. But what he showed me is in the midst of this, to look back in Teen Challenge and see everything he's walked me through. And it's made me a better person. It's built my character. I used to be the biggest thief, liar, just deceiver. I was violent, angry. I was just someone who didn't have a lot of friends because I didn't know how to be a friend. And so now I'm not that anymore. So what he showed me is he's building my character. He's teaching me to rely on him and draw strength from him. And he's walking me through areas that I myself cannot get myself through to show me that I have access to a power that is stronger than I am, a power that can get me through all that. And so I started really seeing the reason why he has us walk through things is because it's getting us to where he needs us to be. And so I'm just in this process right now where I'm trying to submit. God is in the middle of transplanting me somewhere else. I don't know really what that looks like. I don't even know how to pray about things right now because it's such an uncertain season. It's uncomfortable. I don't know. I just have to pray in the Spirit a lot. I really just don't even know. I don't even know what to do. My last season, it was like, I felt like I had things figured out. This season, I have no clue. And so that's kind of scary. I'm kind of fearful. I'm battling with fear. I'm battling with insecurity. And it's really hard, but I just have to really cling to him and trust in him because I can't trust in my circumstances. They change constantly. And so, but he's showing me that I need to cling to him because he's my anchor. He's going to keep me from going too far. And so that's what he showed me, because I always get scared I'm gonna go back to my addiction, or because it was situations like what I'm walking through right now that caused me to go back to that familiar peace, that numbing peace. And one thing I learned in Teen Challenge is, drugs don't help nothing. They make your situation worse. It's a prison that I didn't even realize I was stuck in. And so, let's see. He gave me another scripture, I think. Psalm 29:11. The Lord will give unyielding and impenetrable strength to his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. So that word impenetrable, I have a hard time saying that, means impossible to understand, impossible to pass through or enter. So that strength is getting me through those doors right now that feel impossible, that I can't pass through. But what he showed me is he parted that sea for Moses that was impossible. Moses couldn't have got himself through that, but God got him through that. And so he's making a way for me to enter through. I want him, my desire is just get me out of this. And I finally realized I have to submit, because he's not going to change that. But he's going to give me what I need to walk through it. And so my reason of not wanting to walk through it is because it's painful. But what he showed me with Elijah also is when Elijah ran out of fear in 1 Kings 18 or 19, I believe it was, he showed me that when Elijah finally got to where he stopped, God told him to go back the same way he came. And when I first read that, I cried, because I was like, oh my gosh, there's no other way around this. Like, I have to do this. And so it just really taught me to, I can run. I have the choice to run. But it's just going to be a long detour, because God's going to have me come back the same way. His will doesn't change. And so, that's where I'm at right now, is just the walking through. Like, I'm learning to face things boldly and be courageous about things, because fear is just another trap. And so that's pretty much what I have, is just, walking through and just, facing things. When I try to face it by myself, that's when all else fails. But I'm really learning what it is to just draw that strength and just allow him to build me up. Because if I keep running, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to keep me, it's going to take me back to a prison I don't want to go to. So that's all I have.